I'm Stephanie, and welcome to Wine Club. This is the playlist where I drink good wine while I whine about bad books. And today's offender is, unfortunately, The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. Now, warning, there will be spoilers and some shit talking in this review. If that is not your varietal, you're probably not going to like this video. If you do want a spoiler-free version of this review, please check out my What I Read in March video. Though, honestly, I wouldn't recommend, you should just watch the video anyway, but I would not recommend getting a spoiler-free version of this review, as you should just not waste your time in general reading this book. Be spoiled, I beg of you. I also want to say that this review is solely about the work and not about the author as a person. I'm sure Foley is absolutely lovely. So let's go ahead and see what this promised. It'll be quick. The back cover copy is very light. A New Year's reunion in the remote Scottish wilderness. The beautiful one, the golden couple, the volatile one, the new parents, the quiet one, the city boy, the outsider. One of these friends is a murderer, and one won't make it out alive. Ooh, so ominous. Ugh. The sad thing is, this should have been really good. It had all the elements that I normally love. I cannot hoard enough locked room murder mysteries, and I really thought that's what this was going to be. It has frenemies, dark secrets, and a stunning wintry backdrop in Scotland that keeps them all trapped with the villain. The puzzle pieces are there, but when I put the puzzle together, it's just someone flipping me off. Honestly, this is just trying to do too much and build a mystery and cast suspicions on so many characters that it just becomes tedious and drawn out. This felt so slow. Now, I do think that the writing style had something to do with it feeling slower than it actually is. There were many times that I would have to go back and reread a sentence, or I got lost because there were em dashes and random thoughts inserted in parentheses that I kind of lost the point the original sentence was even trying to say. I remember getting to page 67 because I thought about tabbing it because I was starting to think, is it just me, which it could be, or is the writing style really weird in this? There was just something off about it. Now, I do think that Foley does know how to write, but again, I just wasn't jiving with this writing style. And again, I will take some accountability here. This could be me. I will admit, I could be the problem here. But I just found this overly wordy, somewhat purple at times, and it honestly took forever for any sentence to make a point. And the story doesn't really make a point. I don't see the point of this. I really should have DNF'd this, and I'm kind of mad I didn't, but I really did want to figure out who the killer was, and honestly, who the person that was killed was. So, since the back cover copy is kind of vague, let's talk about the synopsis of this book. So you have a group of old friends who are having their annual New Year's reunion. There is Emma, who is the outsider, and she was in charge this year and picked a very posh lodge in the Scottish Highlands. Emma is dating Mark, who is the volatile one, and is extremely desperate to be accepted by this group of friends that date back to Oxford when they went to college together. Mark is in the inner group, and he's friends with Miranda, who's the beautiful one, and her husband, Julian. So I think they're supposed to be the golden couple. I'm not entirely sure, but I can't think of who else it would be because it's mentioned so many times that they're beautiful. Then we have Samira and Giles, who are the new parents, who don't do much, honestly. If they could have been written out of this entire story and it wouldn't change a thing. And there's a lot of emphasis on them having a baby, but I think there were a lot of scenes where they leave their daughter unattended in a cabin and then they go drink in the main lodge. I'm not a parent, but can I call CPS on a fictional child? 'Cause yikes, this poor kid. Then we have Katie, who is Miranda's best friend, and it felt very clueless, as Miranda is obviously Cher, the beautiful one, and Katie is the Thai stand-in. And way back when, she gave Katie basically her Thai makeover and made her popular. And then there's Nick and his boyfriend Beau, who, like Samira and Giles, they don't really impact the plot and they just serve to be red herrings. But again, they're bad red herrings because I never suspected them. The same reason I never suspected Samira and Giles. They're such background characters that it doesn't matter. So my suspicions were never cast on them. They didn't need to be there. Then we have Heather, who is the property manager who stays on site as they're all there. And then Doug, who, you know, what was his job? It was like caretaker, groundskeeper. I don't want to look, but like he had a job, and he also has a dark secret, as everybody does. Oh, he was the gamekeeper. That's what he did. So Heather and Doug aren't exactly friends, as every time we're in their point of views, because we have multiple points of views for the story, we hear about how little they know about each other. What's the other person hiding? What is the other one running from? Why would they be all the way out here where there's nothing for miles? It's so repetitive. We know you don't know. Just ask or shut up. But seriously, we get so much from their points of view. But again, it's not adding to the murder mystery. Their backstories, while well done, I really did like their backstories. They are wasted in this story. Honestly, they should have just been saved for a different book. Because their backstories mean nothing. It really just felt like we were adding trauma for the sake of making this story feel more like weighty than it is. But this book just doesn't do much with it. So the Oxford group arrives, and then they find out this other couple is also staying on the property, as Heather wasn't the one who took the booking. So this other couple has just shown up on the property, and the property is comprised of like a main lodge where they can like cook and hang out, and then they each have a cabin. The couple is from Iceland, and they are pretty much cartoons in how they're used as red herrings. Like, honestly, there's a dinner scene. So like the first night they have like a group dinner, and the man in this couple is just giving everyone at the table like crazy eyes and like fondling his knife and talking about hunting in a very loving manner. Like, he was pretty much sitting at the dinner being like, yeah, I love hunting. Like, who acts like this? It was just so over the top. And then there's a scene where they're like banging in the woods, and Miranda walks on by and they tell her she can come join them. That's the last we see of them. They literally just like disappear out of the book. They're not talked about pretty much ever again until the very end, when we have to figure out like why they were included in the first place, which was stupid. I'm so glad we spent so much time on their scenes and building them up as these red herrings when it amounts to nothing. So the book spans a few days and is told in alternating timelines. We have the now, which is pretty much New Year's Day, and I think like the day after, and then the before timeline, which leads up to New Year's Eve. The story starts off in the present timeline where Doug tells Heather that he has found a body. Cool, let's go. Let's get this mystery started. But that's just it. It's just a body. They do everything possible to make sure not to say if it's a her or a him, as to not give away who might have died. Though it's pretty obvious as we keep reading who's probably doing the dying, because everyone hates Miranda. She is not getting out of the Highlands alive. You might as well just tell me that it's her body that they found. Because it just becomes so annoying how hard they have to work at keeping the identity of the dearly departed a secret. It's almost like they know they're in a book and have to tease out this mystery. Which I kind of have to go on a little tangent about like the point of views in this for a minute. So 2 of the characters' point of views talk to us as the readers. They're in first person, but they say like, I know what you must be thinking, or I don't want you to think I'm a bad person. It's like the Truman Show. Like, who are you talking to? People don't think like this in their own heads. But then we get points of views from several characters. We're in first person point of view for the characters of Emma, Miranda, Katie, and Heather. But then we have Doug's point of view, but it's in third person. Why? Why is he the only one in third? Both his and Heather's point of views are after the death, so the present timeline, and the other characters are before the death. And Emma and Miranda are the ones that address the readers. It was a weird choice, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like that Doug is in third. There is absolutely no reason for his to be the only offset one, because, spoiler alert, he's not the killer. Okay, back to them purposely being vague. It doesn't make the mystery more intriguing. It's irritating. That's the word you're looking for. I want to know who's missing so I can start trying to figure out who would want to do them in. I can't enjoy the mystery as much because I know nothing. It just made it a very frustrating read. Because again, we know most of the characters don't like Miranda. She is a real bitch. And it is her who ended up being the one who died. But we don't find that out until pretty much the end of the book. And everyone has somewhat of a reason to end her. Like, Mark has always been interested and attracted to her, and he has a violent temper and has assaulted people. We find out Katie is sleeping with Julian, who is Miranda's husband, and is now pregnant with his child. And kind of secretly loves being able to, like, pull one over on Miranda as, like, oh, your husband chose me, and oh, I'm having a child with your husband before you get to. Nick hates Miranda for outing him to his parents back in college. Again, Julian is cheating on her and has basically grown tired of her kind of spoiled and bratty behaviors. And Doug has like these blackouts where he's pretty sure he's capable of hurting people during them. But nope, we get our reveal of the killer, and it's Emma. Emma, who has been obsessed with and stalking Miranda for years. You see, she's just your friendly neighborhood psychopath who wants to become Miranda. Honestly, it's just such a tired trope. It's not these people who have legit motivation and did something like heinous that they wouldn't do otherwise or were pushed to like their breaking point. Nope. It's just the crazy girl who has a complete personality switch after she reveals her diagnosis, even though we're in first-person point of view with her. I hated it. It feels like such a cop-out. Can we stop using mental illness as a plot device? Like, I recently read a book that had a character with dissociative identity disorder, and I thought it was really well done. Again, I can't fully speak to it as I do not have that diagnosis, but it was written as it was just her life. It is a major part of her character, but it's not used to like excuse her bad behavior. She took full ownership of her choices. It wasn't used as I did this bad thing because I'm mentally ill, so I'm totally okay taking the lives of others. This book kind of does. Mental illness does not always equate to violence. It shouldn't be used as a twist if it's not going to be done correctly. She could just be a stalker and her obsession has become an addiction. But no, she literally says she calls herself a psychopath. The work really should have just been done to make it more realistic about who wanted to kill Miranda, instead of just falling back on an overdone trope. Why have character development when you can just pull the psycho card? To me, it doesn't make for a good twist. It just comes across as lazy writing. Because I really think it should have been Katie or Miranda's husband, Julian. Because Katie and Emma somewhat serve the same purpose in the story. To be the bland, boring girl that Miranda keeps around so that she feels better. Emma pretends to be Heather at one point when the police call saying they're going to be like sending a chopper in as like there's been a snowstorm. It's let up enough that they can like get there. But they shouldn't alert her that they're coming. So I guess Emma, like again, because she's a psycho, just decides to start like killing all the other guests, starting with Katie, and lures her outside and plans to shoot her because it's all Katie's fault that Miranda is dead. Sure it is, Emma. Okay, if that's okay. You delusional psychopath. So Heather and Doug arrive just in time, and Heather jumps in front of Katie to take the bullet. And during Heather's chapters, we do find out that she has lost her partner. I'm fully not sure if they were married, but they were together. He was a fireman, and he died in the line of duty. She has felt dead inside herself and really just needed to get away. That's why she took this job out in the middle of nowhere. And Heather takes the bullet, but she does not end up dying from her injuries. And again, this part just feels like it's being added to make the world more complex. And it does, but not really in a good way. Not in a fun, like, I want to keep track of this way. Then we find out that, like, Heather and Doug are starting a new relationship somewhat, but I don't care. I don't really care about any of the characters in this. Katie was honestly the most relatable, but that's because most of the others just suck, and I didn't really care if they were offed. Now, I don't condone Katie's cheating, but the others were just non-entities, and I didn't know enough about them to care one way or the other. We spend time on Heather having this realization that she is loved. She didn't need to run away. I just don't care. That's not why I picked up this thriller. I wanted a one-by-one situation. Why are we spending time on Heather waking up in the hospital realizing, oh, I'm loved? Great. Good for you, girl, but like that's not what this point of the book was. Ooh. This is a ranty review, isn't it? Honestly, this had potential, but just became kind of a bloated mess that focused so much on the characters' like histories and creating misdirects just for those gotcha moments instead of just telling a good story. It was seriously trying too hard to do too many things, so it ends up not doing any of them really well. Authors, please take Ron Swanson's advice. Whole-ass one thing instead of half-assing two things. There's a little blurb on here that says, a tense, perfectly paced murder mystery by People Magazine. I don't agree with you, People Magazine. This is not tense. The pacing was poor, and I wasn't sure myself if I was going to make it out of this reading experience alive. It was a disappointment. I did not like this. This book was trying way too hard. I ended up giving it 2 stars simply because I can see the care that Foley put into these characters, their backstories, matching up the timeline, and there is some decent plotting in this. I am going to give credit where it's due, and I'm glad that the book had an actual resolution. We saw the conclusion of the arcs and the plot threads, and it felt like the book came to a natural close. Instead of like a lot of thrillers I feel like I've read recently just have like a very abrupt ending. It's like the killer's been revealed and the book is done. So I really do appreciate that. The idea was solid, and apparently so solid that what I'm gathering from Goodreads is that this is pretty much the same book as the guest list. And readers are saying that the guest list is so much better than this one, but that the books are like uncannily similar, like beat for beat, and the majority of the characters within are kind of like the same mold, but it's just set in Ireland instead of Scotland. Now, I might pick that up, as again, the elements that were in this should have made for a fantastic read. But I'm only going to pick it up if I can get a copy of the book for free. So I'm going to be scouring my free little libraries, or maybe I'd even pay like a few bucks for this. But I'm really sad that I got apparently the worst version of this story, and then it was just turned into a better book. Again, solid idea, just bad execution on this one. So if you do have any recommendations for wintertime thrillers that are actually thrilling, please leave your suggestions in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for joining me at Wine Club.